Other interesting political news, you have Vivek tweets fire Ron McDaniel, the head of the RNC, going viral. Now, this as she has accomplished not much. She's perhaps as successful as Kamala Harris in terms of her political successes and acumen. Ron McDaniel supposedly is the head of the Republican National Committee, supposedly helping Republicans win, which is something they historically don't do so much. And yet, after every failure in the midterms, the election, she still has a job, which perhaps is a great metaphor for the government in many respects. Keep failing, keep your job. Performance be damned. Now, he actually responded to something from the Gateway Pundit, and they have a picture of her who, debatably, her smiling as awkward as Ron DeSantis or Dylan Mulvaney, or me for that matter. But nevertheless, the text from the Gateway Pundit said, quote, "The Republican National Committee is looking at opening a credit line to help pay the bills and compensate for dismal recent fundraising levels. Ron McDaniel and the RNC will discuss the unusual option this upcoming week at the winter meeting in Las Vegas." And there's a little text on the picture of her that says, "Ron McDaniel's cash-strapped RNC may open up a line of credit to help pay bills this election year," unquote. And Vivek simply said, "FireRonna.com," which actually goes to a fundraising mechanism. I think if it's not his, where's it go? So, it says for pay for, because I remember he had this a couple months back when he was still running for Republican nominee, and you simply say, "Should you fire her?" and you give them your first name, last name, cell phone. It's just kind of a poll, I suppose. You're not raising campaign funds, but yeah, I was gonna say probably should fire her. She seems certainly inept beyond all belief, and I know a lot of people who are not donating to Republican candidates and the RNC because of their ineptitudes, of them losing again and again and again. Also having a lot of rhinos who are pejoratively known as Republicans in name only. It's the same reason I personally don't donate to the National Rifle Association anymore. Maybe in a couple months as they find a new leader, but for many years I did get the life membership. I believe it was 2015, so that kind of time frame, because again, they're doing some good campaigning for the Second Amendment, and I believe every human has the right to defend themselves and their family. Now, in terms of the NRA, they historically, they've done some great safety trainings, and I understand they do a lot of good in that regard. But when it comes to actually gaining rights for the Second Amendment, they've been sluggish. They even acquiesced, and in my opinion, they just bend over backwards all the time. They even supported the bump stock ban, which from a legal perspective and a technical perspective was a terrible, terrible precedent to set on the legal definition of a machine gun with the way the law was written. So again, they acquiesced to that. They said, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea. You should do that. We approve of that." And time again, they seem to just not gain gun rights, but rather give them away. And a lot of people contribute that to Wayne LaPierre, the former head of the NRA, just being more interested in growing his personal wealth than actually gaining more rights for the Second Amendment community and the American people. And that being said, when the NRA will call me all the time, because again, I'm on their list, I made a donation all those years ago, and I got that membership, I always respectfully tell them, because again, some of these people are independent contractors, some of them are just trying to make a living, some of them do authentically want to gain rights for the Second Amendment, and I always respectfully tell them, I appreciate your call, I will donate again when Wayne LaPierre is no longer the leader of the National Rifle Association. And I tell them, hey, I don't donate because you guys have bent over backwards on bullet point A, B, and C. And I just say, where were you to help us get the suppressors off the NFA list? Where were you to help? Why would you support the bump stock? Where are you really gaining our rights? And don't get me wrong, they still do a little bit, but when I see who's gaining the most wins for that organization and for the people, the other nonprofits are a lot better. Gun Owners America is much better. The Firearms Policy Coalition is much more efficient. So I've seen it in real life, and I've talked to my friends where I ask them too, would you ever donate to the NRA? They say no, because they don't. It's Wayne LaPierre, the leader, is failing. Now, contrast that with the RNC, same exact use case, same thing. It's the same instance where, why would I donate to something where they just keep losing? Even in instances where they should win by a landslide, there was supposed to be a red wave. It was nothing more than a red drizzle during the last midterms. I believe partially because they also had nominated some very inept candidates in some areas of the United States. But there's an age-old saying, Republicans rip winning out of the jaws of leadership or something to that effect. And I can't but think, people are not donating to the RNC because of her leadership. Now, it's also a precarious situation because I believe Donald Trump actually endorsed her at one time. And he is one of the most popular, he's very, he's basically the most powerful figure in the Republican Party. So it'll be interesting to see. And again, I feel like if Trump were to just come out and say, we get someone new, there'd be basically no pressure. There'd be no hesitation for the RNC to actually do that. And at this point, again, they're not raising the funds because they're not doing their job, in my opinion. So if they were to get rid of her, I think that would help out a lot. Although, perhaps, maybe I'm alone in this assessment. Maybe everyone else thinks she's a brilliant, successful person. I mean, probably not, but let's dive into the comments and find out. Again, statistically speaking, this was posted last, couple days late to this. It actually posted last week. But I did write down the statistics within 24 hours. It got 535,000 views and 13,000 likes. So interestingly not as viral as Vivek's normal post on X Twitter, where he usually, I would say his average around 790,000 views, about maybe 20 to 58,000 likes for kind of a good average of all his posts on social media. Now, one of the first comments comes from Paul Zazupa. He says, quote, President Trump can only do so much once he's in the White House. He needs a good Congress to support him and get what we need to get rid of Ronna McDaniel. She's a cancer to the GOP. It's time Ronna is fired, unquote. That got 95 likes. See here. The persistence says, quote, Vivek, have you ever thought of creating an alternative to the RNC? Would you, with the work you're doing with hashtag early vote action and TPA action, we could be a formidable force. The progress we're making in Pennsylvania is very exciting. Think about it, unquote, getting 2.1 thousand likes. And I think there's a lot of support for a third party in the United States. It's one of those things, it's very similar to business. The more options you have, the better. The more competition, the better the results. And geez Louise, that's a loud, obnoxiously loud notification. My battery is low, so I apologize as I scramble for the little mini cord. Probably that in there. But yeah, very similar to business. The reason why we have some of the best products on the planet these days is because you have competition that brews innovation. It inspires the companies to keep the price competitive, come out with faster, better features. So yeah, I think we do that. We need that in politics. Now the issue is, you would need a near improbable amount of money to do that. Because again, it is a business, and you need resources to allocate towards campaigning, getting the word out. I mean, if someone like Elon were to get into it, maybe. I mean, the most success we've ever seen is Ross Perot when he ran. And he a huge business success. He was a hero in Texas, built out EDS and multiple other organizations. So I say a fun reference to one of the science behind me is Electronic Data Systems, EDS. But even he, only with all his money and resources, all of his success, he only managed to win a couple states. So you would need a lot more resources to get to a third party realistically. Now that being said, I still think it's a good idea. I just don't. It's highly improbable. So that's why I think a lot of Americans, they have an appetite for new ideas, and someone who hasn't screwed them over so much, so to say. But again, I partially digress. Let's see here. Paul Marino says, quote, I will not give a single penny to the RNC until she is gone. Hashtag Scott Pressler needs to take over as leadership. He has shown he is willing to put in the work and do the job as it should be done. Lead from the front, not from the basement, unquote. And that got 34 likes. Red Wave Press, who A+ for marketing, their profile picture is in fact of a red wave. Although, let's say B- marketing. There should be a little printing press, a vintage one maybe in there, but nevertheless. The Red Wave Press say, quote, the RNC could be in real trouble in 2024. We don't even have close to the same amount of funds as Democrats. We must win in 2024 to take our country back. Follow if you agree, unquote, getting 27 likes. And yeah, that's another big elephant in the room is the resource allocation. I mean, what election was it, where Mark Zuckerberg and his wife contributed $400 million to myriad of politicians and political organizations to support their political ideals. That's a lot of resources from one person. The Republican Party needs a lot more resources. So it'll be interesting to see how much money can they raise with the current leadership around McDaniel, whatever her name is. But yeah, that's again, you need to have resources to run a campaign, and it does take money. Bulldog for Vivek says, quote, it's a screenshot of Ron McDaniel looking awkward. It says fire Ronna, add your name. I got 20 likes. Sir Majesty says, quote, putting Scott Pressler, and I got 28 likes. Honest Sabe says, quote, we need a new party. The RNC is clearly too resistant to change, getting 112 likes. I don't know if it's resistance to change or resistance to just doing a lot or, stuff. It's so disappointing. It seems like throughout my lifetime, you just get lucky. You might get a little bit of a tax break, which, again, fiscally speaking, yeah, I want more. Everyone should want more tax breaks. Less taxes, the better. But yeah, it seems in terms of other significant topics and ideals, they're not really moving the ball forward in that regard. And an overwhelming majority of the responses they're getting between 0 and 5 likes, they're all pretty much the same. Talking about, yeah, no one wants her in charge. Why is she still have a job? And yeah, RNC's, that's gonna be the big elephant in the room. It'll be interesting to see, what happens at the end of the day, because again, the current formula for the RNC is not working. People are not donating it to anymore. People barely believe in the organization, even with Trump at the helm, because presumably with all the data we have now, he'll be a Republican nominee. It's just mathematically, it's all the odds are in his favor. I don't know what the Las Vegas odds are if you want to put money on Nikki Haley, but I can't help but think the odds would be astronomical. But it'll be interesting to see. As I always say, time shall tell. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of February, so click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a comment and a thumbs up and thumbs down is a great way to give me some additional feedback so I can know how to make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight,